We're trying the three platforms again. YouTube, here we are. We've also gone live automatically over at Facebook Live, and we're pushing to Periscope. At the moment, it's my account. We'll be working to try and get that live on the 365 Message Center Show Twitter account soon. But enough of that. Let's go with the show. See you soon. All right, we're back. Welcome to the 365 Message Center Show, where we help you plan for change, prevent or fix, stay informed, and keep on top of online virtual conferences.
Yes, we do. I wore my shirt. For those on the audio podcast, I'm terribly sorry you can't see this, because I wore my retro Microsoft Ignite t-shirt for today's episode.
It's retro because...
Oh, because it was the t-shirt from a year's past?
That where before. Yeah, it's still my favorite. I mean, I like last year's one, how it had that kind of mixtape thing going on.
Right, but this one I really like because it's textured, and I shouldn't probably rub myself.
No, but it has heart, right? And I think that was one of the things about it. You know, at the heart of it is IT. Anyway, that's actually our first topic today, isn't it, Daniel?
Sorry.
Now we need to grab that for the blooper roll.
Oh my goodness.
I've got it recorded. It's live on 3 platforms. Daniel rubbing his t-shirt. Anyway,
okay.
Let's try and...
Yeah, bringing this back. So yes, Microsoft Ignite, we knew it was happening this year, September-ish. But this past week, they finally announced the dates of September 22nd through the 24th. Now, you might think of that as a 3-day conference, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, but it's kinda. And what we mean by kinda is it's actually 48 hours spread over 3 days, depending upon where you are in the world. So they're being very worldwide with this. This is very similar to conferences like Inspire, for those that are Microsoft partners, and Build, where they're doing sessions worldwide. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you'll be able to see live sessions during your time zone or during your specific time. So I think it's exciting. Are you excited, Darrell, about the date being revealed and plans for Microsoft Ignite?
I think by now we usually have a bit more details, and we're starting to think about what's on the schedule and who's going to speak. It's all happening pretty fast and in short order, as if to say we've got some things to reveal, but we're just not ready to show that yet. And one of those things, if we scoot on down, the why attend message usually, and I'll click on this soon, but usually this is why come on down to this location to engage and see this stuff and experience all these things. And when we get on down to there, of course, there's the learning pillar. We're going to learn still online, but what's with this connect thing? What's going on there? Collaborate with experts who build and support the technologies. Join guided discussions with individuals who are facing similar challenges. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll give you my thoughts. Let me back up to one thing you just said a little bit ago about, normally we know a whole lot more about the conference at this point. And I think it's really, they're figuring it out. I'm not saying that they don't know what's going to happen. I think they're working out some of those details while they're building upon the experiences of Build and Inspire and other conferences. You like that, building upon Build?
That was nice, very nice. Yeah.
But while they're building upon those experiences, I think they are needing to do a little bit different, because Ignite is about the engagement. It is not just about sessions. Now, they're going to have great sessions, we know that. But it's not just about learning announcements and hearing about what the plans are for the future, which we will learn about those. But it's also about engagement. It's about engaging with Microsoft people, of course, but it's also about engaging with each other. And so I think that's where we're going to see more details as we go along, and it's not available just yet. Now, this Connect experience is what I'm just talking about. I think, what comes to mind is this past Ignite, we had these sessions, these kind of community sessions where it really was a guided discussion experience, right, Darrell? We participated in one together. I participated with others. And it really is this guided experience where you're asking people to work together and discuss their experiences and learn from each other along with learning from you. So I think you could maybe relate that to what this Connect is talking about. Are there going to be roundtables type of breakouts or workshops or those type of things? Maybe.
Yeah. I think that is the hard part to provide for a virtual conference. They did try a bit of an experiment last year where it was you had like 3 different breakout zones and they were running workshops. I got the pleasure of helping to run one of those, and Daniel, you helped me out. So they were quite successful. It was kind of a small gathering in some of them, but they were interactive.
Yeah, they were brand new, and people actually really didn't understand what they were about. We found that they thought it was yet another session where they were going to sit and be entertained. Entertain me! Where it was more of, no, it was kind of the opposite.
Wait, you're giving me a pen? or in Matt Wade's session, we're giving you some coins and stuff, and you're going to do stuff with them?
Yeah, so it is, I think these Connect experiences are going to be something kind of similar in this virtual platform. So is it going to be the same? I don't know. In fact, I don't know very much more than what is on the website. Yeah. But I could see how, this is going to, again, Ignite's all about engagement. The one other thing about this is it's not just going to be September 22nd through the 24th. They're talking about there's going to be a second Microsoft Ignite, the beginning of 2021. Now, what is that? That's a very good question. Those are the people that just asked that. We don't know very much. However, there have been some talk on Twitter. Dan Holm and others have been talking about it being more of an encore presentation. Now, encore normally means the same thing, right? But I'm not entirely sure that's going to be the case, that it's just going to be a replay of the content. I really don't know. We don't know very much about that right now, but I look forward to hearing more.
You'd think, well, I've always seen the local Ignites, the Ignite the Tour type sessions as encores, and that they bring out various people that cover off some of those sessions. I actually thought maybe it'd be a bit like dividing the production quarter or half, so that they've got a little more they can add to it a few months later, to say, this is what we've developed and this is what's going on. But we don't know yet, do we?
No, we don't. I have some thoughts, but it's just guesses, educated guesses at this point, so we'll save those until we hear more.
Yes. Good. Wise. Very wise. Well, yeah, on to messages. Our first one, Daniel, what are we covering initially? This is our title, I believe.
So we're talking about new privacy controls with Microsoft Graph. This is MC 219941. So this is a developer topic. This is Microsoft Graph, but it really is the Office side of it and the endpoints for Office. But to accommodate configuring items, insights, so the settings. So insights are, you can think about the bringing up information about what's going on with other people. So they're going to make some changes to how that all works in those settings and the privacy settings. So you can think about the profile card for a user. When you're looking at it, you can see some of the things they've been working on, right? They're going to make settings available to where those can be disabled for users. and so it won't show what they've been working on. They're recently used documents. So that will also apply to the profile results in the Microsoft search in Bing, okay, where the recent file panel shows. It also plays into those analytics showing up in your organizational wide analytics. So normally analytics suggests assistive insights for users' colleagues, but if you turn this off for a particular user, that user's information about what they've been doing, what they've been working on, will not play into that organizational wide analytics. So even though those types of activities are anonymous in that you're not seeing specifics on what a user is doing in such. For those organizational wide analytics, it still will exclude that if these settings are used. Another thing about this announcement is we already have some settings on the Office 365, the Office side. And so on the Delve settings, I guess I should say. So until the end of this year, 2020, Microsoft 365 will respect both the Delve privacy settings, as well as these insights settings for Microsoft Graph. Meaning, the more stricter the security settings, the privacy settings on one of them will come into play. So if for a user it's totally turned off, then in Delve versus the Microsoft Graph, then it'll be turned off. And then over time, what's going to happen is the new endpoints for Microsoft Graph privacy settings these privacy controls will take over those Delve settings, and the Delve settings will go away eventually. That information is laid out in some of the supporting documentation. So anyway, the beta controls, these are beta controls, are now available, so you can utilize them. You expect to release it into production in the fourth quarter. So that is that October, November, December timeframe. And then one other point that I wanted to mention here is that during the transition period, the SharePoint start page, you know about the SharePoint start page, it may actually provide you some stale suggestions, even if when you've turned these settings off. It'll be addressed in upcoming changes on server side. So this is nothing you can do to prevent it. For right now during beta, it is there may be some stale suggestions, and it may not remove all of them, previous ones. So just wanted to let everyone know about that.
Do you remember when Dell first came out and everyone freaked out because it exposed a number of things that were hidden by obscurity? Yeah. I can't help but feel that these privacy controls are there just to make sure that certain people or things are being hidden intentionally, so that it's not going to appear in graph kind of results.
I agree with you. I think security and privacy and all that weigh heavy on some people more so than others. Whenever we roll out intranets, for instance, and there a lot of times, hey, we'd like to have birthdays shown up, right? Who's having a birthday today? There's always a set of users that don't want their birthday shown, and things like that, and that's fine. When you're wanting to be inclusive in a way that you want people to feel comfortable, you have to make concessions like that. For these privacy controls, if someone doesn't want to be part of these insights being shared and shown to others, then these settings are what you're going to need to use moving forward. Again, it's until the end of the year, you're going to be able to use both Delve and these new privacy controls for Microsoft Graph.
All right.
Yep.
Okay. Well, our next message comes at us from OneDrive. It's all talking about anyone links. Now, anyone links, or also known as anonymous links, are when you share some content and you can share that with anyone. Uh, I think of an example of where a company might be sharing something with, I don't know, a marketing company, and they're wanting to get some feedback, and they need to then on share it to other people within that company to get additional feedback. And an anyone link will allow that to happen because it's available to anyone, rather than specifying who can see it. Now, there's one protection there, the expiry of a link, which lets you at least put some kind of lid on it. This is available to anyone, but for a limited time. And it's a good option, but I think a lot of organizations who maybe are heavier on the security side of things will turn anyone links off. Now, this option, there was an option that came out to use PowerShell to nominate certain SharePoint site collections to have a bit more control over this setting, which is good. It means that you might have a SharePoint site collection where you've deemed to be things that are in this site collection can be shared with anyone links. They might be material that you want to be able to publish and share with customers, and you're putting that in a central place for publishing. Now, this setting is going to be opened up to OneDrive so that you can nominate specific OneDrive people, because they are just site collections in the background, remember, to allow control over that anyone link. And you can either be more restrictive or less restrictive, or turn the option off for the anyone link expiry. Where are some of your customers, or where are you using this sort of thing, Dan?
Yeah, I think you get in this conversation with organizations about how long should you use this anyone link, and how should you use this, and then what expiration should you have on it and we have this conversation, and it's one of those where typically I find organizations can answer quickly, should we have expiration, but then it's how long should it be? Should it be 3 days? Should it be 5 days? Should it be a week, a month? Whatever. What is the expiration? And I feel like it can morph. And so I think this is where this does come into play a little bit, where how you can control this. And so what this announcement is all about is being able to control this for those individual OneDrive site collections, being able to, set those. And I really like this because you can control it more so than just saying, here's everybody's policy, right?
Yeah.
Because it usually is not a one size fit all, right?
No, I think it's based on role. You might be in let's just say blanket rule might be that you can share for up to 7 days or 3 days. Make it short as a default. But if you're in a marketing or a sales kind of role where you're wanting to share something, but you can pretty much guarantee that the person receiving it won't necessarily read it immediately. It might sit in their mailbox for a little while, and then they might need to refer back to it occasionally. So in that role, you might need to have a longer expiry, and it's good to see this override option. You see Phil Worrell here, he wants to have expiry on internal shared links. Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yes. Well, and another, I think, thing to remember is, and one thing he just said in chat as well, is that a lot of organizations have this turned off. And which I think it really stinks for users, frankly, until they discover Dropbox. Because that's what's going to happen, is people need to be able to share externally. They need to be able to share information. And so this is the only way you can control that. If you turn this off, then they're going to email it. Or which you not only do you lose total control of who actually is going to receive that email, but you lose total control of versioning and one source of truth. But or they will discover some other service and use some other service, which you will have no control over. So it's, do we give up complete control, or do we actually control it and enable the expiration of links and allow external users? That's my viewpoint on it. I know there's some arguments, and I have clients that don't like it either, so I get it. But frankly, I see it as, I really approach this as an old school, new school kind of thing, where most of the people who are making these decisions are out of touch with reality.
Well, you're right about there being a range there, or some middle ground, that it's not necessarily an on or off thing, a yes or no thing. There is some work around helping people understand that maybe you don't need to send in any one link, really. It's nice to have that option and not worry about having to change permissions or give access to someone if they're not have access initially. But that motion of, right, well, I'm just going to email it out anyway. The option to choose, I want to set this so that people receiving this message will also have permission to read it. Done. Cool. The initial people that you want to read this document or this file, they can do it. If they forward it on to someone and they go to access it, then they've got an option to say, hey, can I have access to, please? It's whether or not you want that extra responsibility to have to adjust and share it to another person in the audience. Good to see this option. Good to see this option. What have we got next?
Well, we're going to talk about something we've talked about before. Is that okay?
Oh, sure.
But what's interesting about this, the title is called SharePoint Default Page Templates, MC220031. Okay, so we've talked about this. The SharePoint Default Page Templates, being able to, this was originally in June of this year, MC215704. But this is talking about, you could create page templates and set defaults for your organization, meaning when someone goes to create a page, they will see what is a default. Now, they can use other ones, but they'll see the ones that are default that maybe you are wanting to, publish for them, and say, hey, here's a great way of starting out your page. The team stopped the rollout of this pending some issues, and so they fixed that. And now here we are rolling this back out. And why this is interesting. Okay, let's talk about the rollout. Will start mid-August, hopefully be completed by mid-September. I say hopefully because, they've started and stopped before. But the interesting part here is I'm trying to think back if this has ever happened, and it may have, but normally it doesn't, where the rollout of a feature that has been previously announced, the message center, is stopped, and then they restart it. Normally they just go back and edit that original message, and it shows up in your message center as read. So unless you've dismissed it like Darrell, and then you never see it again. But if you haven't dismissed it, then it'll show up as read, meaning not bold, and you'll see it and go, oh, what is this? It's back up here. What does it mean? And it'll say edited and whatever. Mm-hmm. This is a brand new message with no new content, as far as I can see. As far as I can tell, there's no new content in this other than they're actually going to roll it out now. So this is interesting. I don't know. Do you remember ever having one that did that way?
No, I think I'm with you. I like to see version management so that we're brought back to the original source of truth.
Now,
call it a SharePoint background and just, wanting to...
Well, yeah, and you and I have pointed this out, right? Previous on our show and then privately with the team that, hey, when you do these updates, if you've dismissed them, we don't ever see them. Now, people who are, I was going to dig on you, I'm sorry. People like me that don't dismiss will see it, right? But it just won't be bold, and that's fine. I actually would like to see something in between it shows up for me. I don't want it to look like it's brand new when it's just edited, but I also don't want it to look like it's just appearing again for no reason. I don't know, like something in between.
Updated messages. They're using text to do that, and in some cases,
but you have to open them, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, so you recapped what it was. Hey, like I see this being useful for sites where they're predominantly about news, or you've got a certain thing like it's a knowledge base, and you want this to be the default page format
Most certainly.
to make it easy for your content creators.
Yes, most certainly.
Yeah, cool. But yeah, nice to see the reminder. I guess we could use the thumbs up or thumbs down if we're going to get pedantic about it, but we don't have time to do that live on the show.
No, we don't. So, Darrell, when you call in and open up a case with Microsoft, do you like the experience?
I've got to say, I haven't done it for a while.
What?
Yeah, that's right. I know.
Oh.
And maybe it's because the service is just working well for me, or I just don't
sure.
have that level of responsibility. But look, I do like, let's just have a closer look at this. This is pin-based verification process for support callers. That's MC219951. It's a further level of verification that if I'm calling up to make some kind of change, or I need some help with my tenant, and if this call is coming from a number that is not in the organizational information, then Microsoft support is going to say, hey, look, can I just send something to the email address of the admins just to verify that you are who you are. And I think that's a good thing to go through to make sure that we're talking to the right people. But it does put that burden, if you haven't already done so, to have a email address and various communications that the group of admins can get to, not just one person. What do you reckon?
I agree. I think it's one of the things that does perplex me about the whole support process is if you know a little bit about the environment, then there's risk that you could have support do something to that environment. And so this is preventing that. This is one of those social engineering preventions. We've seen it with your provider at your bank. We've seen it at your, your like phone company, like your mobile phone. If you call them up and say, hey, I'm having issues, they say, okay, well, we're going to send you a text to the phone number, and you got to tell us the number that came back. So this is kind of bringing that in line. I like it. Frankly, I think this has been a avenue of that could have been misused. So I'm really liking more security in this area.
Probably has been misused. I also find the approach, or the excuse me, the wording interesting too, that once we have provided a pin to you and you read it back and verify that yes, I have permission to ask for these things, then it gives Microsoft support the ability to access your tenant. So it's going one step further and giving them permission, not necessarily you asking permission. But anyway, interesting. What about? I think we can both cover this next message off. This is
okay.
I have to admit, I'm sorry, I'm not fully immersed in the Power Platform and creating Power Apps and Power Automate stuff. Sorry, John Levesque. Sorry, everyone else.
Wow.
Let's just say that it is a language. And I have not become fluent in this language of understanding all these citizen-developed apps. I definitely see the value in it.
Yeah.
But enough of that for an intro. This, I think, probably, if a Power Automate or Power Platform MVP got a hold of us, they would have said, why isn't this the title for your show today? 2020 Wave 2 Early Access to Dynamics 365 and Power Platform are available now, MC 219749. What does that sound like to you?
Actually, that sounds like a promotion for like a movie or something. I don't know, like available now. Call now. We'll ship it to you free. Your second order will be free too.
Put it this way. I think it's a bit like saying, here's a new version of modern SharePoint, or here's a massive new wave and change for Office Pro Plus. This is a big deal to people who work with the Power Platform. A whole lot of new capabilities.
Yeah, it is, for me, it is true. What they do, just kind of stepping back, for people who are not familiar with the Power Platform and Dynamics 365, what they do is they release these, and they used to call them something different, and it's escaping my mind. Maybe the chat room will remember. But they have now called them these waves, okay? And what they do is they hold back some features, and then in a wave, they, quote unquote, they then release features across the platform. And so we could quickly talk about some of those here in a second, but that's what this is. And so what they're giving now, though, is early access to the wave, not just because the wave is in October, is the target. But you can do early access right now and switch over. And there's details on how to do that. But so that's all this is, right? Okay. So they do this several times a year. I think they used to do them quarterly. I don't know if they're still doing them quarterly. But here we are. So you get things for Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, Power Virtual Agents, and data integration. So there's lots of things going on here. So Power BI, we have things like Power BI Mobile. You get split view support on iPad, for instance. The service integrates with Azure Synapse to get larger views on larger Power BI models. So things like that are going on. The big, kind of some, it's not just a new visual, for instance, which comes out all the time with Power BI Desktop and Power BI Service. So, some big stuff here. Power Apps, we get AI Builder with AI scenarios for like receipt scanning and translation. So some nice features there. Power Apps will be directly integrated with Microsoft Teams. So we'll be able to create Power Apps directly in Teams. The Power Virtual Agents are coming to the Power Apps portals. So we have that available to us in Studio. The Power Automate will be bringing, and this is big for Power Automate and was announced earlier this year, will be bringing Win automation. So this is the ability to do some automation in Windows. So we'll be able to do things with Office apps, right? Do some automation there as well, in terminal settings, the terminal applications. So there's a lot there. So if you go in the message there, they have split it out, and you'll notice I didn't talk anything about Dynamics 365. That's kind of not my forte, so that's why I didn't talk about it. But they split it off here in the message, I think rightfully so, for Dynamics 365. There's a lot of updates there too about those different modules that you can utilize. And then there's the Power Platform information. So if you click on the Power Platform, it'll take you to the information on all the different aspects. Yes. And see, Darrell made the mistake of clicking the link in the message, and it takes you completely out of the link. I know. But if you click on the, I guess it probably is the first link there at the top.
That one. Okay. Yeah. Control, left click, new tab. Oh, hey.
Yeah. So this is a lot of great detail. It's the title of this page in docs.microsoft is Microsoft Power Platform 2020 Release Wave 2 Plan. And it was recently updated on the 3rd. So if you can take a look, it gives you a lot of details and a lot of clickable links on how to get to more information on all of those. So it's a great blog read. So check it out. Yep.
Yeah. Yes, lots of changes there. And yeah, you're right, Jamie. It is Power Platform is not a language. Let me clarify my language. Sometimes when people come and talk to me about stuff, it feels like they're talking in another language. A bit like when I come and talk to them about my religion called change management and adoption.
What's that?
What the?
Well, just Jamie, I want to make sure you realize that when he said that, I was like, what? So I hope everyone saw my reaction when he said that. So.
Oh, yes. Yeah, and look, I'll cover the subtitles later and put some translation there.
Yeah.
That's the show. Thank you for tuning in, Suzanne, Phil, Jamie. Who else did we have there? Roll back and do the roll. We've got Hilda,
Sarah.
Andrew, Sarah, and many other friends. Good stuff.
Yes.
It looks like Facebook did fall over again, so it's just got this live black box. But I think we did go live in other places. So thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you everyone for joining us this week. We really appreciate it.
All right. See you again.